if practiced, will become habit forming. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I mean, my age, I can't change any of my habits. I mean, I'm stuck. But at your age, you know, you will have the habits 20 years from now that you decide to put into practice today.
It's pretty obvious that Warren Buffett has made excellent choices regarding his habits, as he's currently the 5th richest person in the world. But what is it that actually has allowed him to gain this huge sum of wealth along with the title of best investor in the world? The result is much deeper than I thought. It didn't just stem from one point in his life, but throughout the entirety of his life. So I'm going to share Warren Buffett's wisdom collected throughout his life so you can be as successful, save a ton of money, and live a happy and frugal life as him. While frugal habits can be used at any age, it's important to develop the right frugal habits at the right time. To know what frugal habits and tips are best to use when, I've split them up according to 3 life stages: young adults, middle-aged, and senior age. When researching, I was really surprised to find out how different each category was. So be sure to watch until the end. You can use this as a guide or just to compare where you are and perhaps where you could improve. There's no better time in your life than your young adult years, right? Well, between ages 19 and 30 is also one of the most important times to make sure you develop proper frugal habits, and it starts with this. Number 1, get used to spending less.
Now, what are you going to do knowing that that's the only car you're ever going to have and you love that car? You're going to take care of it like you cannot believe.
Buffett teaches an important lesson here to younger people. The truth is that you won't truly get one car in your life, but what you do with what you already have is what matters. In this case, it's how you start forming your money spending habits. We're all creatures of habit, and it's extremely easy to spend money. However, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to fall into consumerism like the many people around you with their new phones and new clothes. It all starts with this one thing. When you're just starting to earn money, since you're around the age to work, focus on only spending money you need to spend. If you don't need a new pair of pants, then why get it? If your phone works right now, then there's no point in upgrading. Before you spend, remember this Warren Buffett quote: "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." When you start off with good spending habits, you can carry them with you throughout your life. Number 2, get a job you're happy with.
Now, I get to work in a job that I love, but I've always worked in a job I loved. I loved it when I loved it just as much when it was a big deal if I made $1,000. And I urge you to work in jobs you love. I mean, I think you're out of your mind if you keep taking jobs that you don't like because you think it'll look good on your resume.
This is an important time in your life, and doing what makes you happy is key here. Many people will have some sort of luxury at this age to explore and experiment, so it's a great time to pick a job that'll make you happy because it'll lead to this. When Warren Buffett picked a job he loved, he became extremely wealthy. Why is that? Because when you do something you love, you'll work very hard, but never feel like you're burning out. While not everyone has this luxury, it's something to think about. If you're unhappy at your job, figure out why and gear your life towards those things that do make you happy. Number 3, don't leave home unless you have to. Did you know that Warren Buffett didn't buy his first home until the apartment they were at was just too small for their 2 kids and the 3rd one on the way? When you're young, there's no rush to leave your parents' home. In fact, it may be better to do this instead. Think of how expensive it is to rent right now, and think of how many payments you'll need to make. Chances are you'll likely fall into debt. A great alternative is to stay with your parents and pay them for rent and groceries. Most parents are very loving to their children and will never take more than they need. In fact, you'll likely be paying a way smaller portion than you would if you rented, meaning that you can save up tons of money and avoid debt. Number 4, avoid paying for school with debt. Now, here's a difficult one. Most students who go to school incur a huge debt. Some of you watching this video are likely still paying off student loans. However, this can be avoided, but it requires some patience. The reason is that you may have to delay the time you go to school so that you can make sure you have enough to study without borrowing money. Instead of jumping straight to school, continue working and save up money. Gradual growth is better than total decline. You may feel sad to delay your school, but your future self will thank you when you're not drowning in debt. Number 5. Avoid impulse purchases. This one is going to be a hard one for many of you at a younger age. Impulse purchases are harder to avoid now than ever. It feels like there's a new sale on every website you visit, and for someone who's trying to fit in and find themselves, this can be a difficult task. Fortunately, there's a simple way around this. The simple method actually lets you buy things you want, but all you need to do is set a time filter. Essentially, you want to wait a day or two before you buy an item to really think it over and see if it'll serve you. Chances are you'll avoid buying a lot of things that are just spurs of the moment, helping you save money and develop a frugal habit that'll stay with you forever. As you grow older and more experienced, you either may be doing really well with your finances or starting to head into the drain of debt. To overcome this between ages 31 and 50, it's imperative to start with this. Number 1. Learn the art of budgeting. As Warren Buffett famously said, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. And one thing that a budget does is tell you everything about your financial situation and how to make it exactly like you want it. At this point, you're likely to be close to starting a family, thinking about getting a home or owning one, or having a good career. And it's in these years that money management will really go a long way. Things are expensive, and supplying money for you and your family so that you're not just barely making it, but continuously growing. However, budgeting can be a painful and tedious task. So, what can you do? The easiest way to start is to just use an online tool to help you organize your budget. For example, Mint is a mobile app that's considered to be the best free budgeting tool. Number 2. Pay down debt.
You know, I was lucky. I'd saved about $10,000 by the time I got out of school. That $10,000 was really worth millions I might have earned later on, because after you get a family and everything, the expenses roll in. But those were my tools to work with, but it was only because I was ahead of the game. If you're behind the game by $10,000 at some point and paying 18 or 20% interest on it, you will never, you'll never get out of it.
Some of you may not have had the privilege to stay out of debt in your younger years, and now may be suffering the consequence. And just as Warren Buffett said, if you don't do anything about it, you'll stay behind forever. Before you panic, there are 2 ways to fix this. Either the debt snowball method or the avalanche method. The first method is listing your debts from the smallest to the highest amount and paying off the smallest debts first. This method is great at getting you a quick start on paying off debts without getting discouraged. For those who are more disciplined, you can use the avalanche method, which is mathematically faster because it targets the highest interest debt first. Either way, being debt-free will allow you to build wealth, and that is an invaluable frugal habit. Number 3. Live within your means. Such a simple thing, but so hard to do. Before you call me out saying that this is obvious, check out this Buffett quote. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. Simple is sometimes harder to accomplish because we humans like to do things, and the less we have to do, the more impatient we get. Living within your means requires you to do less and spend less. With that in mind, you want to organize your life to be full of things that don't require you to spend. For example, you can invest in yourself by reading books or exercising outside. These things don't cost money, but can help you pass the time and avoid boredom, which causes someone to spend. Number 4. Invest.
I think if you're working with a small amount of money, with exactly the same background that Charlie and I have, and same ideas, same whatever ability we have, I think you can make very significant sums. But
this is the prime time to invest your money. Look at what Warren Buffett said in the video. Even with small amounts of money, you can make a lot if you approach it the right way. I understand that some of you may be worried about the risk that comes with it, but you shouldn't be, and here's why. With just placing your money in an index fund, you can expect an average return of 8 to 10% yearly. For example, if you placed $10,000 and didn't reinvest anything or add any additional money, it would turn into $56,000, which is huge. Think about how fast your money can grow if you were to add money every month, plus reinvest the dividends. Number 5. Look for ways to grow your income. It's not enough just to have earned income. Save your money and expect to get wealth. There's one frugal habit that you need to add on if you want to get rich. In fact, it's something that the vast majority of millionaires and billionaires have. If you want to get rich like them, then developing a frugal habit of having multiple streams of income is necessary. This can be something as simple as a second job, or you could start a business that generates income. As Warren said, if you don't make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. If that's not what you want, then develop those income streams. When you enter your senior years, or ages 51 plus, things start to change regarding frugality as retirement approaches, so that's why you need to start with this. Number 1, figure out your retirement plan.
They knew I'd done reasonably well by that time. That would have been 1956, so I'd been investing 5 or 6 years, and actually I was in a position where when I left New York and came back to Omaha, I had about $175,000, and I was retired. So I guess they figured if I was retired at 26, I must be doing something right.
Okay, it's unlikely that most people can retire at 27, but there's something important to think about. Listen to how much Warren Buffett had saved up and earned by that time. It was through fantastic frugal habits that he managed to do this, and you can do it too. But it requires one simple thing. That simple thing is planning. When you plan your retirement course before you retire, it'll make retiring an absolute breeze. At the ripening age of 51 and over, it's time to start maxing out your 401k and making sure your money is invested. If you aren't at that point yet, then following the steps from the previous ages with aggressiveness will help get you there. Number 2, think of downsizing. It's important to start asking yourself some questions at this age. Do you still need a 5-bedroom house? Do you need to have 2 cars just for you and your partner still? As you get older, you don't need as much space or assets as you're approaching the time to start letting assets go. So, if you're just planning to retire with you and your partner, then downsizing can help you have a much more inexpensive life and retire with total comfort on the money that you'll have come in from pensions and any investments. Number 3, pay off your home if you haven't. This is the key time to pay off your home ASAP. If you're getting close to retiring and your home isn't paid off, doing so will help you feel like you've become richer without making any more money. At this point, if you've developed solid frugal habits, then you should be free of debt, with the exception of your home. And tackling it can also be one of the greatest gifts you'll get for retirement. Number 4, be happy.
I've been on 400-foot yachts, and I've lived the life a little bit with people that have 10 homes and everything. And I live in the same house I bought in 1958. And if I could spend $100 million on a house and make me a lot happier, I'd do it. But for me, that's the happiest house in the world.
Notice what Warren Buffett is happy about. He doesn't care about 400-foot yachts or having 10 homes. The first home he bought is what makes him happy. At this age, reflecting on your life, spending time with the people you love, and enjoying what's around you should be your priority. It may not seem like a frugal habit, but if you're around people you love and are content with what you have, then you're not spending and thus living frugally. However, there's one thing to mention. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. This is a thought-provoking thought by Buffett. At this age, frugality should only be spending money to be happy and generous to those around you, not to yourself. You've saved your whole life, and now it's time to reap the fruits of your efforts and share it.